Hey everyone, Retro here with a top 5 list for you. And I've been getting a little tired of Borderlands. I've tried coming back multiple times, but honestly, I don't really think that I'll be able to until Borderlands 3 comes back. It's just not really in me anymore. I really want to, but I'm not feeling it. So obviously Black Ops 4 is going to come out here in a couple days, and I'm pretty excited about that. I love zombies. It's probably my second favorite video game to play. So I decided to make a top 5 about it before that comes out. So this is the top 5 most overrated maps in Call of Duty Zombies. This will specifically be Treyarch, so Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, those will not be added, even though none of them would probably be on the list anyway. Obviously, this will cause some harsh feelings as some people feel very strongly about a lot of these maps. And for the most part, for a map to be overrated, it must be very well liked as well. That being said, this list will be based off of my personal opinion, as well as opinions of people from polls I have made, which will be listed in the description, and also what I perceive to be the opinion of most of the community. That being said, it's mainly opinionated, so feel free to tell me why my opinion is wrong, and leave a comment down below. So let me get this list started off. And at number 5 is Revelations. Now, I'm not sure if this map is still as loved as it used to be, but some people were having this in their top 5 best maps ever. I'm going to have to strongly disagree with that. Don't get me wrong, this is a good map, and it feels good to see all the previous maps combined into what we thought was going to be one final showdown, but it falls short of being everything it was supposed to be. The one thing that sticks out in this map is its difficulty, being that the map is super easy. There's a reason in Reddit the map you see most people posting finally made it to 100 posts is Revelations. It has the Apothecon Servant, and it can be upgraded, the Thunder Gun, Little Arnie's, and the Ragnaroks. With a combination like that, just about anyone can get to a super high round. Now a map with a bunch of previous maps melted into it sounds like a grand idea in theory, but just comes off as a bit lazy. The map has two new areas really, the beginning part next to the house and the Pack-a-Punch area, neither of which really stand out as a super memorable area. The Easter egg is, well, it was the Easter egg. An odd quasi-ending that was not very climactic and left me personally feeling underwhelmed. Granted, my opinion may be off as I personally think everything went downhill. Story-wise, after Moon, not to say it's a bad story now, but it's hard to go places after you blow up the world. So now we're left with our characters being stuck in a loop. But since Black Ops 4 is coming out, it doesn't look like that story's really gonna matter a whole lot. So, yeah. I've never booted up Zombies thinking that Revelations is what I really want to play that day. It's good, just outmatched by so many other maps. At number 4 is Kino der Toten. Now I actually love this map. It brings back so many good memories because Black Ops was my first Zombies game. And I can still remember a lot of playing with my middle school friends. Kino for me really was my beginning of Zombies, and like me, many people started their journey with that map. It was a fantastically constructed map with a cool teleport area, the Thunder Gun, and introducing an awesome area like the stage. Now, the saying nostalgia isn't what it used to be really sticks out to me, because this map is still top tier, but it is outclassed by maps that were made after it. It really didn't add much to the gameplay itself, with the exclusion of the addition of the Thunder Gun. It also falls to the ills of being rather easy. The stage was nice, but getting to round 50 on Black Ops 1 is no real challenge on this map, no matter what your skill level. I didn't count this in my decision of this being overrated, but the map also really adds nothing story-wise to the game. It really could have gone from Shinonuma to Duriz to Ascension with little to no break in the story whatsoever. Still an amazing map, but perhaps not as amazing as it is remembered as. At number 3 is Mob of the Dead. Now, personally, I think this map is awesome, but there seems to be a bit of a divide in some people's opinions. No map has been quite like Mob of the Dead since it's been made, and its uniqueness is perhaps why it is so loved by some and overrated for others. This is partially due to the amount of people who didn't want a quest-centric map and wanted to just kill zombies. And that could be looked at as objectively good or objectively bad. My biggest gripe with the map is about the lack of difficulty at times. Once you have Speed Cola, Electric Cherry, and the Vitrolic Withering, you can kind of just sit in a corner and, well, win. Any map where the Pack-a-Punch is not easily accessible bothers me a tad, but this one adds to the map's atmosphere, flying into the Golden Gate Bridge. Treyarch feeling the need to tease PhD Flopper, again, is what really pisses me off most about this map, though. Honestly, you guys, I'm trying to come up with a reason why I don't like this map or why others don't, and I just can't. I was trying to make good points for the sake of people who don't like it, but I actually really like this map. It's on here for the fact that in 2 polls I made for most overrated maps, Mob was number 2 on both of them. Really, the only thing I can say is that I don't find it the most enjoyable map out of all the maps, but it still is great. And number 2 is Moon. When Resurrection first came out, I absolutely loved Moon. If you asked me at the time, I probably would have said that Moon was my favorite map. The map was so much fun to play with friends trying to finish the Easter egg, or play solo no mans, or just running around in the dome. The Easter egg was my favorite ever. I remember people thinking that blowing up the moon on Der Eisendraw was awesome, but we blew up the damn world in Moon. It doesn't get any more climactic than that. Still with that, after a while this map had worn very thin on me. Let me start off by saying this may be the worst map to play with randoms. Easily the worst map to play when it had come out. You have a 50% chance of actually getting to the moon on a map called Moon. Mainly because some guy wants to show you his training skills while everyone else is on the teleport pad ready to go. Please, for the love of God, do not be this man. But that's not where the flaws stop. The goddamn excavator. I hate the goddamn excavator. I remember loving everything being in low gravity, but soon enough you limit all your chances to use the hacker at all, and you can get trapped if you teleport without a hacker. But the most annoying part about the excavator, you can barely hear when it's getting ready to excavate. Most times when I'm playing a game, I like blaring music and don't want to have to listen for when the game's going to cut off part of the map. Now, the low gravity can be fun, but for some reason, whenever you run into specific doors, you'll be catapulted in the air to your certain doom for absolutely no reason. Now, let's go on to the boss, the astronaut. He's like a weak, shitty George that gives you nothing for killing him and takes your hopes and dreams and throws you into the abyss. He hugs you and takes a perk. Super fun stuff. Well, let's see. Now you've lost Jug or Speed Cola because the astronaut hugged you. You gotta haul your ass all the way back to Area 51. But wait, you can't go yet this round because you just went. So you gotta wait a whole other round to get your perk and Pack-a-Punch. Now you get there and surprise, it's the wrong perk. You have to start this process all over again. And then maybe, you know what, you want to do the Easter egg with your friends. But Tunnel 6 doesn't get excavated till round 25, and then you die. There are so many little irritating things about this map that I'm still blown away that I actually like this map. Despite all of this, somehow it's still good. But it still makes me so angry with how much better it could have been. When I see people say that it's one of the best maps, I really do not understand that logic. Now, I've got one honorable mention, and that is Derice. Let me first start off with saying this map is very good, and honestly one of my more liked maps. It was really the first of its kind. It took zombies to new heights, the likes of which had not been seen before. Added in teleportation and Pack-a-Punch, and really began to iron out our newfound Ultimus crew from Shinonuma. It had arguably the best camping spot in the earlier Zombies games, being the catwalk, and the first Easter egg as well, being the flytrap. All that said, this map is still kinda overrated. It's a great map, but needing to be remastered twice great? I don't know if it's that great. A map can't be knocked for how much that it has been played, but that being said, it needs a certain level of replayability if Treyarch has the balls to release it 3 times. For me, personally, it lacks that level of replayability. You can train in some spots and there are some high round strats, but it wears thin after a while. In Black Ops 3, if you join a public game, it really comes down to your team camping the catwalk or sitting on a pack-a-punch pad with a Wonder WAW. Still one of the best, but I think it can be a tad bit overrated at times. Finally, at number 1 is Origins. I don't think this is too shocking or rage-inducing anymore, but I still have it here because as great as it is, it's almost always rated the best map of all time by the community. And I disagree with that. So this map has a bunch of stuff going for it. It added so much that it's not surprising that people think it's the best. Arguably the best wonder weapons are the staffs, and of course this map was the first to have 4 wonder weapons at that level. It has an awesome starting weapon in the Mauser. It finally brought back PhD Flopper. There is also one of the best tactical grenades with the G-Strikes. There really is an infinite amount of things to do in this map. For that reason, I feel as though this was the defining map where zombies really changed, although you could argue Mob of the Dead as well. Zombies, up until this point, was relatively straightforward. It wasn't overly complicated, and the end game of each map was holding off as long as you can. This map was really the first map where the objective feels like a quest, where for a majority of the map, you're fighting the map instead of fighting the zombies. This is why on any given IGN video about Call of Duty Zombies, you'll see comments like, everything went to shit after Black Ops 1. Not saying that that is right, but some people really believe that. I, for one, actually like this map, but sometimes it feels like such a chore to play. If I want to run around and mindlessly kill zombies for 30 minutes, I go to Ascension. If I want to really get into an Easter egg and spend 3 hours of my day, I'll go play Origins. And most people don't have the time commitment to get into a deeply involved map like Origins. Now, this level of depth did partially exist before Black Ops 2, but those were detailed Easter eggs that could be totally ignored to enjoy the map. Whereas in Origins, the first question you are always asked without fail, especially in public play, is which staff do you want? And you're already on your way to this quest-centric objective of completing at least part of the Easter egg. Now, this isn't bad, to me at least, and this map is redeemed by its reward like the staffs. But, for instance, Zetsubo is a largely hated map. I personally love it for the Easter egg and difficulty, but most hate it. Looking at Zetsubo, I see a slightly less complex Origins without a great wonder weapon. And I believe if you remove any vital part of Origins, like the staffs or any of the extra goodies, the map would be absolutely despised. Now, the 2 things that actually piss me off about Origins. The first is the mud. I hate having movement restricted in a way that seems to add an artificial difficulty to what would be an incredibly easy map without it. I think it's terrible map design. That's just my opinion. A lot of people disagree with that. The second is the Easter egg. Now, this is probably unpopular, but Origins Easter egg sucks. After Black Ops 1, it seemed as though our Ultimus characters were totally done. But there was still much after that that could be done with zombies after that point. Treyarch went the route with the Victus crew for 3 maps, and that wasn't meeting the same popularity level of Black Ops 1 maps. After this, I sort of got the feeling that Treyarch just wanted to fall back onto the old crew because they weren't getting the same reception with the Victus crew, and that they would just throw in the old crew at all costs to try and get some sort of rebound. Now, when this map came out, the Easter egg made no sense to me whatsoever. We have 4 characters that seemingly met during World War II, with Rick Toppin capturing Takeo, Dempsey, and Nikolai and making them as test subjects. Okay, fair enough. But now all of a sudden we're in an oddly designed trench and no man's land of World War I with all of these characters who look kind of different. Now, obviously, it's different dimensions, and we know that now. But at the time, I didn't really know that. I just saw it, and I was like, why? Why is this happening? I remember at the end of Origins, some people thought that the end was all just Sam and Eddie playing with dolls making up the story. That would have been worse than the whole he was in a coma the whole time cop-out. That would have been absolutely awful. Now, obviously it didn't turn out that way, but it kind of felt like they didn't really know where they were going, and I didn't really like the story at all. Now, perhaps these aren't fair arguments, as the staff of Treyarch changed through these games. So obviously Blundell was working on things, and Jimmy Zielinski was working on things as well. And maybe those views didn't exactly coincide. But to me, it felt like Origin's whole premise was to allow the existence of Black Ops 3. It would have been far better if Treyarch had hinted at the possibility of multiple dimensions several times before Origins, but really all we got was endless loops like Brock and Gary Mob Dead, and nothing that any normal person playing zombies could have found. Which, if you're a normal person, the story at that time was impossible to keep up with. I'm open to having my mind changed about the story at the point of Origins, but I still think that Origin's story is not that good, especially for being so story-centric of a map. Lastly, I hate maps that end on the Easter egg with no reward except an achievement and your own pride in accomplishment. Other than that, all of Origins is great, but I personally don't see it as the best map ever. Just my opinion. Alright, you guys, so that's the end of the video. Please be sure to comment why I was right, why I was wrong, why you disagree, why you agree, what your favorite map is, what your least favorite map is, all that jazz. I'm curious. I'm curious as to other people's opinions about this. Always am. But yeah, be sure to leave those comments. Let me know. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Be sure to dislike, unsub, and block, and I will not see you in the next one.